Sleeping on his cot in the living room, he was happy and secure. The weight of his anxiety in finding shelter dissipating after the first week, understanding what the mothers provided was to be respected, their rules adhered to. Carefree now as he walked through the neighbourhood, jovial in the barber's chair, feeling part of the community in every goof and cuss. Out and out free as he sat with the girls getting their nails painted at the Korean salon, staffed by quick-witted women with good humour who paid them no mind. Still frightened on walking through a crowded school corridor, but that would never change. Gripped by near paralysis at the edge of the voguing runway, aware that his drag had been seen by his competitors, that victory lay in pushing aside paralysis and stepping out, owning the damn thing, the promise of euphoria, acting as the carrot on a stick that got him moving, the memory that he loved to dance, no matter what trash he was persuaded to wear. He saw adulthood clearly now that he was no longer self-sufficient, scrabbling around for food and a place to wash. The mothers had rules and these were welcome. He did not wish to push against boundaries as other children often tried, instead grateful for knowing what was expected of him, how there was a consistency in care and attention if he was polite, made up his bed each morning and stuck to the chores assigned to him. Parenthood was best respected when it was uncomplicated. How he'd longed for uncomplicated guardians, those who would not rouse him out of bed in the small hours to rail about misdemeanours he'd neither committed nor understood, who would not withhold food or heat as punishment, who kept their fists to themselves. He would still sleep with his back against the open room, for lifelong defensives would never truly leave. But he recognised that his posture became less hunched over time, allowing his frame to elongate and stretch the full length of the cot. How softening was a luxury he could now afford under this roof. The street and its attendant darkness became adventurous terrain rather than a series of trapdoors to be navigated. He was never far from the older children, the banjee boys in particular, whose raucous protectiveness he looked up to. Affiliation to those boys conferred an autonomy that allowed him to travel across their part of town unscathed, from late-night bodegas to buy snacks to keep him going while studying, to shortcuts from the subway where crackheads roamed for naive tourists. Do streets bring fortune? They can if you have confidence, he thinks, each step filled with wonder and possibility. More than once he's chased home from school, frightened but exhilarated, knowing that he has a place to go and people to share his worries with if he chooses. How much more he's able to accomplish with his studies just from having a bed and knowing that he has regular meals. For these reasons, he takes a seat at a church on the back strip, blocks away from the eyes of mothers and children. He goes not to pray, but to acknowledge his good fortune, knowing it's the sanctity of space he wishes to commune with, rather than a higher being. Where else can he give thanks but here? Where else will he find the space, this peace? The noise from the mothers' apartments fill him even when they're at their most argumentative. He's happy there, flooded with life and sound, but the peace he finds there is in snatches. The total quiet that comes at 4 in the morning when there are not Vogue balls, 10 in the morning when there are. The attraction of church is that its silence is a constant. He doesn't care about God, but understands how it's possible for people to make their weekly appointments here. 60 minutes of respite and solitude from a week of noise. He shows gratitude when he's dancing, but that's something different, a partnership between his mind and body and the music. What he gets from a hard church seat is pared down even further, down to his elements. He does not come to church to pray, more searching for ways to escape. He remembers looking at his grandmother with bewilderment as she walked so piously to and from services, following tremulously in her wake, seeing how she was simultaneously lifted, yet still weighted with the burden of what awaited her at home. The foolishness of believing in this nonsense, how even the most whip-smart could lean so heavily on this dishonest crutch. He could not understand it, but would support it, for anything that gave her comfort was welcome, she the only one who'd comforted him. If she found a space to carve within this hypocrisy, then by following her example, he can find a similar strength.